Hello students, I thought I would take you through the usability test planning and actually carrying out the test. And this is the assignment sheet. I'm going to read through this and explain this as if I were doing this in a face-to-face class. Okay, the objective of your test is to simply test your manual to see what works and see what doesn't work. Now you will carry out a total of 3 tests using a different method and a different reader for each one of the tests. And the chapter 16 in the textbook is excellent, so please refer to that if you have any questions. So the first step is to pick 3 test readers who truly represent your target audience. And if your target audience has a range of readers, you can pick readers that represent that range. One that's more novice, someone in the middle, and someone more on the expert or the more knowledgeable side of your readers. Here's an example of a usability test carried out by a student in a summer session. And for the first part of this usability test, this student talks about the 3 test readers and why they were chosen. The first one is a 21-year-old college female who had moderate technical knowledge, and this is on bone carving. And then the second one was a female in her 50s who had very limited knowledge. And then the third one was a male in his 60s who had some artistic experience but was not familiar with the technical process. So this student talks about the range of readers, and that's really appropriate. The next section or step on usability test is to develop a set of goals or concerns that you will want to answer through your research. This is actually very important because if you don't start your research with a set of goals or concerns, you will be overloaded with the amount of information that you get. But by starting with these goals or concerns, you will actually have some kind of focus. And this doesn't mean that you're rigidly looking for what you want to see, but at least you have some focus in what you're going to test. Now, the goals or concerns generally break down into these 4 categories. All of you made assumptions about the form or layout, what's going to work, how the graphics and text are going to interact. All of you made assumptions about content, what the readers or users would know and not know, what they'll be able to perform and what they need help on. And the next one, third one, is performance. All of you made assumptions about what they can do and what they cannot do and how you can get them to perform as you want. And then finally, improvements. Many of you are going to be worried about different parts of the manual. And so the second step is to develop a set of goals and concerns that you will want to answer with your research. Now, if we turn over to the example, these are the goals and concerns about the bone carving usability report. And this is what he wanted to do. The instructional manual should achieve the following. Present a visually clear set of instructions. The content of the instruction should instill a sense of credibility. The reader should be able to fluidly move from one step to the other without having to read a step due to confusion. And the test readers should be able to contribute advice on the layout, design, and graphic orientation of the instructional manual. Now, going back here, I often ask you to put these goals or concerns in a chart, and we're going to see how that works in a minute, where you have your goals or concerns here on this column, and then you put your 3 research instruments on the second, third, and fourth column. I'm going to show you how that works, because the third step is to create your research instruments to answer your concerns and decide on what you will choose to measure with each instrument. Often a table will help here, and this is the table I was just talking about down here. So you're going to use 3 methods, 1 method for each reader. The first method is called observation, and observation is closely watching exactly what is going on. So with your observation then, you also need to figure out what you're going to look for or what kind of variables you will take note of. And here the observation is going to look at, do they fumble with the manual? And this is going to answer the question of how well does the page size work. So for each one of your goals and concerns, that you have listed here in this first column, on each of the research instruments, you will figure out how you will answer those goals or concerns. And so this example talks about what you're going to look at for the observation. The second method is called Think Aloud protocols, and this is where you actually have the tester verbalize everything that comes to his or her mind. And you often have to train the students to do this. So this is whatever the student or the tester reads, the tester reads out loud. And make sure you find a tester who's really can talk well and talks quickly. And this is important because this will help get at different things that you can't assess with the observation. So the Think Aloud, here back on the table, you need to note or plan for what the Think Aloud will tell you about each one of their goals and concerns. The final method or instrument is called discourse-based interviews. And discourse-based interviews means that you watch the person conduct the test, and then you select features of the manual that represent key design decisions, and you ask the tester to evaluate those features. So you ask specific questions using the manual as a guide for your questions. And here with this table, then you plan on the kinds of questions in your discourse-based interviews that will answer your goals or concerns. Okay. So if we look at the sample, and this student actually has a table at the end in an appendix where he listed his goals or concerns here, and then he actually listed what each one of these methods, what in the method will he use to assess his goals or concerns, and he goes through very carefully all these goals or concerns and what he's going to look at. The next step is to prepare and do the usability test. Have each of the three readers do exactly what the real reader would do. And the first thing you need to do is prepare the scenario and put the person in the spot, and if you're cleaning a fish tank or if you're making something, put the person in the actual situation that he or she would be in, but only explain the circumstances in which they would use your manual. Next one, B, characterize the testers as intelligent. Don't question their intelligence if they can't use your manual. And I should put here, I should actually put a number C, and I should say, and don't talk. This is where it's so tempting to help the person along orally, but you just need to shut up, and you need to watch the person try to make sense. Now, if the tester gets frustrated and wants to quit, at the last moment, you can save your test by intervening, but don't intervene at all. Okay, so you carry out the three tests, and you take notes on each of the tests, and then you prepare the usability report. And going back to this sample of the bone carving, you need to include in your usability report your notes from each one of the three tests. Now, you don't need to write these notes up. You can copy them, scan them and put them in a PDF, or you can write them up. It doesn't matter. I just want evidence that you actually carried out the test. So in Appendix B, this student has notes on observations, Think Aloud notes, and discourse-based interview notes, and these are included in the usability report. Now let's go to that usability report. Going back to the instructions, you create a report. Create a detailed memo written to me explaining the following. Use the memo format. If you don't know what that is, please go to the textbook. Explain the testers and why they were chosen, the research goals or concerns, the research instruments and how and why you constructed them, and the results. Explain your results by concerns, not by instruments. Use each concern as a header and explain everything you learned about the questions with each methodology. Now, I'm very particular with number D because I want you to synthesize the data from all three methods and the three different testers. And we use three methods and three testers to triangulate the data. That means that if you get the same results from all three testers and three different methods, you can believe that the results are valid. So let's look at what this student did. Going back, and if you look at his usability report, going to the top, it's a memo written to me. Here's the test readers, and here are the goals and concerns, and we saw those. And then the research instruments are in the appendix. We looked at those. Now here's where he starts discussing the results. And he could have done a better job organizing these, but he used his goals and concerns, made each one a header, and talked about the results of each of the tests for each one of these headers. And then in the end, he should have, and he does, the manual revision, how his test helped him improve the manual. Now this is very important as well, because if I see deficiencies or parts in the manual that I think aren't accurate, but you test them and they are verified and you don't need to revise them, then you leave them that way and I have to give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so this is the usability test. So what you turn in to me, what you upload to Canvas, is the usability memo written to me, or report, with all of these parts, including appendices that have your handwritten notes or typewritten notes, and then a PDF version of your manual. Now, I have learned that these tests are fun, they're easy to do, and they're easy to do well. You can get good detailed data from your users, and that's just as easy as faking the data and faking the test. It's very easy for me to see if you faked it, because I can look at your manual and then I can look at your test, and I've done this so long I will understand how the test should come out. So carry out the test the best of your abilities, write a detailed report, upload it and a PDF copy of the version to Canvas, and have fun. Good luck.